Welcome to Allworx phone training provided by WheelHouse Solutions. My name is Marty, and today we are going to be talking about the basics of call handling. So we're going to jump right into it. I hope you have a copy of our training guide that is provided by WheelHouse. It does have a lot of information on page 5 and 6 that will be important for you when we're talking about some of these things that we're fixing to discuss. If you don't have a copy of the guide, no worries. I do have some slides that you'll be able to follow along, but there is a lot of information in the training guide. So this is one point where the training guide is helpful. So what we're going to talk about first is call appearances. So when we discussing call appearances, the call appearances are on your phone, on the display. The bottom right buttons are your call appearances, and they're indicated by a picture of a phone here. Some administrators may only have 2 call appearances on your phone. You might have 3, which is the default, or you might have 4 or 5. If you had an 8-button phone, then and you had 3 call appearances, then you'd have 5 left over to program as speed dials or whatever. And we talked about that in a different training video. If you have a 4-button phone and 3 of those, which again is the default, are set up to be call appearances, then you only have 1 button available for speed dials or other options. So it's important to kind of think through that and understand why you may or may not have, 2 or 3 or 4 call appearances. But in any case, when a call is coming in, or if you're making a call, it's always going to be on this first available call appearance, this bottom right call appearance. And so if you were receiving an incoming call, the button would blink here to show that you have an incoming call. It would also show some caller ID information right here on this line. Then it would also have the full caller ID information up here in the display. And of course, your visual indicator at the top of your phone would be blinking, and whatever ringtone you have would be ringing out loud as well. And so when a call is coming in, you can answer by lifting the handset, or you can press the speakerphone or the headset button, or you can just reach over and touch the blinking button and answer that call. And that's important because what happens if you have 2 calls that you're receiving at close to the same time, and if you lifted your receiver or pressed the speakerphone button, you would answer the one that came in first, which would always be the bottom one. But if you're receiving 2 calls at once, maybe the one on the second call appearance is more critical, and you want to answer that and let the other one go to voicemail. So in that case, you can't just lift the receiver because it's going to answer the first one by default. So in that case, you would want to press the blinking button on the call appearance that you want to answer on, and it would temporarily place that call on speakerphone until you have a chance to lift the receiver or pick it up on your headset. So that's how you answer incoming calls. And so these call appearances will also blink and show other colors based on other statuses. So we talked about incoming calls, but let's say you have a call on hold, it will be blinking green. So if you're talking on your first call appearance, it'll be solid green when you're on the call. When you put them on hold, it will be blinking green, slow. If it is flashing green and red, what that means is that you're in the middle of setting up a conference with 2 call appearances. And so it's like a temporary hold on one call appearance while you're grabbing another one to merge calls together. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a moment. So that's some of the basics when it comes to call appearances and incoming calls. Now, a couple more things about incoming calls is when you are receiving a call, and it doesn't show here on the screen, but when you are receiving a call, the soft keys will change to other options. For instance, you will have the option to send the caller straight to voicemail. So if you hit 2, there'll be a 2 voicemail option down here on the soft key line. And so when you're receiving a call, if you want it to go straight to voicemail, you just hit 2 VM and it sends it straight to voicemail. There's another option to silence the call. And so you want it to continue ringing to give you another moment to maybe answer it, but you want it to stop ringing out loud and silence it, so you can do that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about placing calls. So when you make a phone call, all you really need to do is start dialing the number. So let's say you're calling extension 123. If you just started pressing 123, it would automatically pick up the first available call appearance, and then it would start dialing as soon as you dial the 123. So you're probably thinking, what happens if I need to make an outside call? Well, in that case, you have to dial 9. So that is a very important thing to remember on the Allworx. For an outside call, you must dial 9 to get an outside line. And so when you press 9, it grabs the same call appearance, but now it knows you're fixing to dial 7 or 10 digits for an outside number. And so when you start dialing, it will automatically pick up on speakerphone, but you can also lift the receiver and then start dialing, and it will automatically pick up the first call appearance. All right. You can also place calls by pressing the contacts button. We talked about that in another video, or one of your speed dials. If you have a speed dial such as this, you can call someone just by pressing one of your speed dials or by going to your contacts and dialing from there. So that's multiple ways to place phone calls. All right, so now we're going to talk about transferring calls. And this, honestly, is, for some people, it is the thing they worry about most with a new phone system, but the Allworx does a phenomenal job. It makes it very easy to transfer calls, and it makes it hard to actually hang up on a caller. What happens is when you are on an active call, you locate a button in the bottom right of the phone that has this icon. This is the transfer icon. And when you press that button, you will hear a dial tone, and it's grabbing your second call appearance or one of the other open available call appearances, and it's waiting for you to dial an extension of where you want to transfer the call to. And so if you wanted to transfer a call to extension 123, what you would do is you would press that transfer button and dial 123, and if you hang up immediately, that's considered a blind transfer. That means the person you're transferring the call to, you're not going to talk to them. You just were talking to someone, you hit transfer 123 and hang up, and it initiates and completes the transfer all in one fell swoop. If you want to make an attended transfer, which means you want to announce transfer, which means you want to tell the person that you're trying to transfer the call to who you're transferring and why you're transferring. This is the most common and considered the most accepted way to transfer calls. In fact, some companies don't allow blind transfers, but your company may. But in any case, so an attended transfer, it's super easy. You hit the transfer button, you dial extension 123, for example, and you just stay on the line. And the caller, the original caller, is going to hear on-hold music while you're talking to the person that you want to transfer the caller to. And so all you've done is you hit the transfer button, you dial the extension, and you stay on the line. When you're ready to complete the transfer, you tell the person you're transferring, say, hey, I have so-and-so on the line. They want to speak to you. The person says, oh, yeah, I'll talk to them. You tell them, okay, stay on the line, and they'll be there when I hang up. And all you have to do is hang up the phone, and you're completing the transfer. So that's what I mean by transfers are very easy with the Allworx. In a nutshell, hit transfer button, dial a number or an extension, wait on the line and tell them who it is and then hang up, or just hang up before they even answer. If they don't ever answer, the call will just end up in their voicemail. So very, very easy. But let's say you're in the middle of a transfer and you did an attended transfer where you're telling the person, hey, I have somebody on the line that needs to speak to you. And that person says, you know what, I'm in the middle of something, I can't take that call. When you're in the middle of a transfer, you always have the option to look at the soft key line. And on that soft key line, you'll see a cancel option. So when you're in the middle of a transfer, if you want to cancel the transfer and go back to the caller, all you have to do is hit cancel and you get the caller back. And then it's like you're back to square one, you're talking to the caller. Then if you wanted to transfer the call to the voicemail of the person at 123, you always have that option as well. So again, you're back at square one, you're talking to the outside caller, you just press the transfer button and look at the soft key line immediately after you press the transfer button, and you'll notice there is a to voicemail option, to VM. So you press transfer, the to voicemail soft key option, and then dial extension 123, and the call will immediately be placed in the mailbox of user 123. Very, very easy and user-friendly from that perspective. If you have any more questions, again, see the bottom of page 5 where we go through in detail those 3 blind transfers, attended transfers, and then transferring directly to voicemail. So let's talk a little bit on page 6. We're actually going to skip conference calling for just a moment, and we're going to go to placing calls on hold, picking up calls on hold, or parking calls, and a little bit about the difference between those. So basically, when you place a call on hold, that call is on hold on this phone only, and no one else can pick that call up. And so if this call is on your call appearance and you're talking to someone and you press hold, then you have to go back and answer that call. You can't go to any other phone and pick up that call. And that's the difference between hold and park. So park might be a new mindset, a new thought for you. But parking a call is just like putting it on hold. The difference is that then you can go anywhere else on the Allworx and pick up that parked call. And so that's the difference between putting one on hold and parking them. And so I'm going to show you here. So when you're talking to a caller and they're on your call appearance, and I'm going to go ahead and go up and show here, if you were talking on this bottom call appearance and then you pressed that hold button, then that call appearance would blink green to show that you have the call on hold. And then it would notify you after a certain amount of time elapses that you have a call on hold with a beep. And then after a timeout value, which the administrator sets, then the call would go directly to your voicemail if you didn't pick it up. If you wanted to pick it back up, you just press the blinking green button and you're back talking to the caller. Another interesting thing is if you're on one call and you get another call, and if you press that second ringing call appearance, it will automatically place the first one on hold. It's a feature that Allworx has. It's called auto on hold. So if you're talking on one call appearance and another one rings and you go and answer it, it will automatically hold the first caller. So if you want to go back to that first call, you just press the blinking green call appearance and you're back to that caller. You can actually switch between the two. So let's say you have 2 or maybe even 3 calls on hold on each of the 3 call appearances. You can just keep switching from call to call to call, and it will automatically place the other caller on hold. So again, the Allworx is trying to keep you from hanging up on someone. Now, I do want to pause for just a moment and let you know that if you're talking to someone on a call appearance, and that call appearance is green, solid green means you're talking on an active call. If you press that call appearance, you will hang up on the caller. So you press a call appearance to answer, you can press a call appearance to hang up. That is probably the single thing that most people get messed up on, is by pressing a button when they're on an active call and it hangs up on the caller. So let's talk a little bit about parking calls. So when you're talking to someone and you want to park the call, you'll notice in the soft key line, there's no button for park. So you have to look at the soft key line when you're on an active call, and you'll always see on the soft key line, you'll see an option to park the call. And I showed you a picture of that here. So if you're talking to someone and you press park, what's going to happen is it's going to show on the screen where that call got parked. So the default, it's always going to park the call at a system extension behind the scenes called star 701. And so you park a call and it'll say on the screen, call parked at star 701. Now here's the cool thing about this phone system is that if your phone system could handle 20 phone calls at one time, or if your phone lines, your phone provider could provide you with 20 active phone calls, maybe not you, but building wide, then you could actually have 20 calls parked all at the same time. And so there's multiple parking spaces, and it's not very confusing. All that simply means is that the first parking space is star 701, the next one is star 702, and so on and so forth. So if you're talking to someone and you need to park that call to go answer it somewhere else in another part of the building, or maybe you need to page someone to have them pick up, or whatever the case may be, when you press park on a call, look at the screen and it'll always tell you where the call was parked. It might tell you call parked at star 703. And all that means is that there's currently 2 other calls that are actively parked. And so your call that you just parked went to star 703. So now when you go to another phone or you're contacting someone and tell them to pick up the call, you tell them their call is parked at star 703. And so to pick up a parked call is very easy. You can walk up to any phone. You can even walk up to a non-Allworx phone. You can walk up to a cardless phone or anything like that that's connected to the Allworx system and dial star 703 or star 701 or wherever that call was parked. You can pick it up just by dialing that. Now, you can also, if you walk up to any idle phone, there is a soft key option that says parked calls. So if you walk up to any idle phone, or if you hear your name page and someone says you have a call parked at star 703, you can walk up to any idle phone and you can press the parked calls option right there at the bottom of the screen, the soft key line, and it'll show on the screen all the parked calls that are currently parked. So if there were 2 or 3 other currently parked calls, you would be able to use the navigation buttons, the up and down navigations, to scroll to the one at star 703, if that's the one you're supposed to pick up. And then you look at the soft key line, there's a retrieve option. The takeaway from this is always look at the soft key line, and it's going to provide you with any options that you're looking for will almost always be right there on the soft key line. So you're talking to someone and you're like, oh, I don't remember how to park this call. Look at the screen, and the very first soft key option is park. When you press that button, it tells you on the screen where the call was parked. You can go to any phone in the building and press parked calls, and you can navigate to your parked call and retrieve it. All done by soft keys without having to remember or have the guide in front of you. So that is the difference between hold and park and how you do each of them. So we're going to quickly stay on page 6 of your guide and talk about conference calls. Conference calls is very easy. All you're doing is you're conferencing or merging 2 call appearances together. Very easy. So you can be on one active call, and if you look at your soft key line, you'll have an option. It says conference, C-O-N-F, conference. If you're on an active call and you press the conference soft key, it's going to automatically give you another dial tone if you have an available call appearance and let you start dialing. So if you're talking to somebody and you hit conference and dial 123, and then once that person answers, you can look at your soft key line and you have the option to merge those 2 calls together. You can also press conference and dial a 9 and an outside number and merge or conference in a call on a call appearance that's you're talking to somebody on the outside. And then if you still have a third call appearance available, if your phone has 3, you could actually conference in yet a third individual. So you could be talking to 3 individuals at one time on your phone. And here's the cool part. If one of those people are on an Allworx phone, they also have available call appearances and they could conference in additional people as well. So very, very handy and powerful feature. We already talked a little bit about call history earlier, but I'll just mention when you're looking at an idle phone, you always have this calls button at the bottom. And once you press that, then you can scroll up and down and see up to 200 calls in your call history. And if you want to see more information about one, you just scroll up and down and hit the center select button, and you'll be able to see more information about the call in your call history. So that concludes our training today on call handling. I hope this has been helpful and you get a lot of use out of it. See some of our other videos for any help that you may need. Thank you.